you could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Biblical. What it means is Old Testament. Yeah, they're real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's a scary.
Broadcasting live from the WDCE studios out of the University of Richmond. You're listening to 90.1 FM from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam NewsMan, and this is Saturday morning. Yes, Halloween edition 2022. And of course, everything has transpired like that we didn't think that it would. Of course, everyone has been saying over weeks and weeks and weeks that Lord Blanket was real. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, of course, I'm sitting there saying the whole time that Lord Blanket was just an advertising agency who does the spot at the top of the show. But no, Lord Blanket is real. Lord Blanket is real, and he has destroyed Toy Town. Breaking news, Lord Blanket has destroyed Toy Town. And of course, throughout the show, we will hopefully figure out more of what the Lord Blanket's plan really is. Of course, I'm not sure. Everyone kept talking about Halloween, but of course it happened on Tuesday night. It happened on Tuesday night. Toy Town was destroyed. A cloud came over the town. And as all of the toys looked up into the sky, out of nowhere, Lord Blanket, the Lord of all blankets, the bad guy, showed up and destroyed everything. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is no more Toy Town. Toy Town has been left in rubble, nothing but rubble, in shambles. It's been destroyed. No more imagination. Of course, that's what I'm hearing, that the imagination and the days of imagination are over. Of course, we will, like I said, figure out some more about this throughout the course of the show. Once again, everybody, WDCE 90.1 FM, if you're listening to us on the broadcast signal. Other things that you can do, you can download the Simple Radio app. Download the Simple Radio app, search WDCE. Of course, if you're not here in the local area here in Richmond, Virginia, download the Simple Radio app, search WDCE. You can listen to the show live. Like I said, if you're outside of the listening area. A couple of other things we got going on. We have 2 Sam cams going on this morning. Yes, 2 Sam cams. We have the Instagram cam. The Instagram cam right here on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Instagram. And we're also right here on YouTube. Now, of course, everybody has been telling me over the last couple of weeks that the phone calls, you can't really hear the phone calls. We're trying something different today. Now, I'm not sure if you're listening on Instagram, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear the phone calls. But if you tune into YouTube, like I said, we have a YouTube feed going on right here. So if you're on Instagram, go to YouTube and you can see me here. And I do have a microphone set up, hopefully that you can hear the phone calls as you're watching the show. Now, of course, if you're listening to the show on the Simple Radio app and the radio feed, you'll be able to hear the phone callers just fine. But, like I said, we keep getting feedback, not microphone feedback from you guys that you can't hear the phone calls when you're watching it on Instagram and YouTube. Like I said, go to YouTube right now. We're on YouTube. Shout out to Cato. Cato is the first one here in YouTube. Got some people, of course, over here on Instagram. I see Skydra Walker, Astray, Jason Lee. Who else do we have over here? A couple other people I cannot see exactly. I think Triple D was in there as well. Scott Garnett, of course, see that as well. Let's see here. But anyways, like I said, we're here on both places. And like I said, I would encourage you to go to YouTube because I believe that is a better opportunity for you to hear the phone calls if you want to watch. Now, like I said, you should be listening. It is a radio show first. Of course, we're simulcasting. Yes, you know what simulcasting is, right? Simulcasting is when you're broadcasting on multiple avenues at one time. Of course, only leave it up to me, the most trusted puppet in media, who's doing this, setting the standard, raising the bar. No one else, of course, is doing that. And this is the only show dedicated to the magic of Saturday morning, hosted by me. Yes, me, a real puppet. So anyways, it's been an interesting week, ladies and gentlemen. Have a couple of news articles here. Want to read to you. Let me see. Do I have that? Goodness gracious. What do we have here? Okay, we got. Oh, yes. Well, we'll start off with local news. Of course, Richmond Times-Dispatch. Everybody says that, you have to have prep time. For every 1 minute of show time is 3 minutes of prep time. I say hogwash. All I do is just go grab the newspaper and just start reading it and having the most amazing commentary in all of media. Well, because I'm the most trusted puppet in media, of course. All these humans around getting pointed at and saying that they're media puppets or political puppets. Quite derogatory when you are a real puppet and then people are calling humans puppets. I'm not sure exactly. Of course, I could be offended, but I'm not. I know there are just all wannabes. They're wannabes because they want to be me, a real media puppet. Broadcasting here on Saturday morning. Okay, so do we have the, here it is. Okay, so we have, that's right, we have the newspaper here, the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Mac Puff just joining into the chat. I see that down there. Yes, we are broadcasting live. And I have the Richmond Times-Dispatch. This is from yesterday. Did you hear about the police chief? You heard about the police chief down in Richmond. So that's 4 police chiefs in the last 5 years. Did you know that? 4 police chiefs in the last 5 years. And it's all because of Mayor Stoner, who has done just an amazing job, messing everything up. Of course, Monument Avenue once was a historical landmark, the only road in America that was designated as a historical landmark. And of course, if you live there now, your property value has tanked. Yes, it has tanked. It has went right down the tubes. And of course, I've not been back on Monument Avenue since, since they tore everything down and the property value dropped. I'm not going back over there. Oh, no. Well, sure, I guess if you want to go ahead and erase history, that's fine by me. But it needs to be in context. Of course. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. So Governor Wilder. Remember Governor Wilder? Governor Wilder was the first mayor that was elected here in Richmond under the new system. And here we have a Richmond Times-Dispatch. Wilder says state needs to get more involved in Richmond's crime. He says the mayor and the council have failed to oversee policing. Yes, Richmond's first directly elected mayor under its current strong mayor system, Douglas Wilder, is calling for the state to step in to deal with the city's crime. He said Mayor LeVar Stoner and the city council have failed to live up to their responsibilities to oversee policing in the city. The latest example of that, he said, is the many weeks between Chief of Police Gerald Smith's resignation this week and the news that there was no evidence to back Smith's nationally broadcast claims that police prevented a mass shooting on July 4th. So do you remember that? On July 4th, there was a mass shooting that was supposedly going to happen at Dogwood Dell. And of course, there's no evidence of that. And now all of a sudden, here we are, months later, the police chief has resigned. Yes, he has resigned. You can't have trust without truth, Wilder said. The judge asked, where's the evidence? And they said there was none. Yeah, where's the evidence, the judge said, and they said that there wasn't any. So they just made it up. The fact that, to, of course, increase their profile. Of course, Mayor Stoner doesn't have anything. Well, of course, he's like, oh, I didn't know anything about this. And he throws the police chief under the bus, the proverbial bus, the burning bus that that the peaceful protesters were burning a couple of years ago. Let's see. Wilder said he was concerned about Stoner's televised comments. Of course, Stoner was the one that said it. Of course, but he's not being held responsible for it. No, of course not. No. In fact, him and his leadership team as of the other day, hadn't spoken to him, and they're now hunting for a new police chief. This would be number five police chiefs in 5 years. Wilder said he was concerned about Stoner's televised comments at an impromptu news conference Wednesday that he wasn't involved in Smith's departure and would not be personally involved in hiring a new chief. Oh, he's not going to be. Well, and that's not what he said. He said that him and his team were looking into finding a new police chief. Stoner did note that under the city charter, his task is to recommend candidates to the chief administrative officer, who is the one who actually hires and fires. Oh, I'm not going to have anything to do with it, but I'm going to recommend some more people that I can just throw under the bus and have them make up stuff. And of course, I'm not going to be held responsible. Yeah, just like a mayor. Just like a mayor. Public safety is the number one responsibility of the mayor. That's what Wilder said. And I'm going to go to the governor on this in Capital City to figure out some things. But anyways, it's crazy. Crazy. Yes, of course. Yes, Cato, absolutely. Shame on those who yeah, Stoner. Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah, so here we go. So we're having now the former governor, who was the first mayor, saying that the state needs to step in. Well, obviously, Richmond is trash. Richmond has become total trash. The crime rate is going sky high. Do you remember back in the 90s, in the early 90s? In the early 90s, it was quite interesting that, well, of course, you think about crime and you think about violence. You think about Chicago. You think about Baltimore. But did you know that Richmond was the murder capital of the United States in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s? Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not proud of that. I'm just sitting there telling you about it. But hey, listen, if we just keep getting police chiefs that we keep throwing under the bus, then looks like we might take that top spot again. So just make sure that if you're driving around Richmond late at night, that you don't go down the wrong street, because, like I said, things are we're turning back time and going back to a time when, of course, it wasn't safe to be outside after dark. Speaking of after dark, it's Halloween. Halloween is going to be this week, so it is going to be on Monday, which is why we're doing the Halloween special today. Of course, every song that we're going to be playing is going to have some kind of basis in Halloween, scary stuff, and all of that jazz. And so, but we do have some phone calls that I think are going to be coming in. The phone lines are not open today, except for the people who have been invited to be guests here on the show. Now, like I said, once again, broadcasting live, WDCE 90.1 FM. Also, the Simple Radio app, search WDCE. At Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Twitter. On Twitter, yes, that's right. Elon Musk has now taken control of Twitter. All the celebrities are like, I'm going to leave now. Oh my God, this is going to destroy democracy. Well, you know what? Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. Nobody wants to listen to hear these celebrities talk anyway. I always thought it was very funny when a celebrity starts talking about politics. Have you ever thought about the round table? Think about it for a moment. The round table, you put yourself in, in King Arthur. King Arthur's round table. You have King Arthur and all of the people who make the important decisions. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the jester comes up. The jester comes up and says, hey, King, I have an idea. And this is what it should be. Of course, I'm sure the king will look at him and say, yes, jester, you know what? That sounds interesting. But if you could do me a favor, just continue to jest. Yeah, just continue to jest. Nobody wants to hear and that's exactly what happens when all of a sudden you hear celebrities talk about politics. It's just like, shut up and just go back and jest. Nobody wants to hear you. If you're you're amazing, you could be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and run for office, right? Or you could be Matthew McConaughey, run for office and fail. Oh my goodness. But yes, so it's Halloween. So once again, if you're taking your kids out and you're in Richmond, you might want to, hey, what's your kid dressed up as? Well, he's dressed up as a ghost with a bulletproof vest. But yeah, so Halloween, of course, my favorite Halloween candy, of course, is candy corn. Everybody always wants to sit there and hate on candy corn. I know I don't understand the candy corn hate. Like I was telling my buddy Brucey the other day, it's the soul food of Halloween candy. I think he's just hating on it. And everybody loves candy corn, and if you don't, then you've lost your Halloween soul to begin with. But with that being said, of course, I'm gonna start playing some themes here. I think is Deep Cut Dave gonna be calling in. Yeah, candy corn is amazing. The Terra of Titano says that there in the chat. But I think Deep Cut Dave should be here getting. Is he called yet? No, he's not called in. Deep Cut Dave should be calling in here in just a moment. We have a couple of theme songs that we're going to go over. Of course, what is it? Groovy Ghoulies, the Milton the Monster Show, Mini Monsters, Count Duckula, and a few others. But I am waiting for Dave, Deep Cut Dave, to call in here in just a few moments. A couple of other things while we wait for Dave to call in, because like I said, we want Dave to call in because he is the deep cut savant. And got a bunch of information, of course, that he wanted to talk about a particular cartoon. I'm not said anything about it yet. Not said anything about it yet, but hopefully Dave is calling in. If he doesn't, I'm just going to have to just start without him. But like I said, at Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Twitter. What do you mean the phones are not working? Are the phones working or not? See, this is the problem. Oh, so okay, so they are working. All right. So I believe that we do have okay, so hold on just a moment. Let's see if we can pull this up. All right, Dave. Dave, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, Dave, good morning and happy Halloween weekend. How are you, sir?
Fine.
All right. So listen, before we start, I want to ask you, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Well, not candy corn, I'll tell you that much right now.
Oh my gosh, you're another one. Listen, you lost your Halloween soul by just saying that right out of the gate. So what is it? What do you like? Do you like apples with razor blades? Is that what it is?
That's a really underrated treat there, Sam. I mean, come on, you got the protein, you got the iron. It's a wholesome snack. Kids need to toughen up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, remember they do need to toughen up. Remember, kids back in the day used to walk up the hill both ways to get to school. Now, of course, I wanted to ask you about a certain. It was a movie, and then there was a sequel, and there was a cartoon. I want you to talk about it. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. My time has come at last.
Yeah, that's good. Now, could you go over Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, its sequel, and also the cartoon? Just educate our listeners exactly about what it is.
Well, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was made around, I want to say 78. Um, Basically, just a parody of B movies in which tomatoes attack people.
Violently attack people.
Yes.
Absolutely, and they squish themselves all over, and terrorizing the town. And there was a sequel, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, as well. Is that correct?
Yes, there was. Well, actually, there was like I think 3 other sequels too.
There was a couple of other sequels as well.
Yes.
Well, the Return of the Killer Tomatoes, I think, is very interesting because John Austen, who was Gomez in the original Addams Family, was the mad scientist. The mad scientist in that. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, George Clooney was in the movie as well.
I believe that was, I want to say, his second film ever.
George Clooney's second film ever, Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Man, well, hasn't he come a long way, I guess, right?
No. But it's funny, you know who you can really credit for Return of the Killer Tomatoes?
No, who's that?
Jim Henson.
Ah, well, of course it was Jim Henson. Now, could you just go over that just a little bit?
Well, are you familiar with the show Muppet Babies?
Yeah, well, they make our dreams come true, of course.
Oh, yes. Well, they did an episode, I think it was called like Attack of the Silly Tomatoes.
Right.
For those of you in the listening audience, Muppet Babies had child versions of Muppets, and a lot of the episodes they would focus on movie spoofs, use footage from the films.
Well, for this particular episode, they used Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and it was apparently the highest rated episode of the season.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So, New World Pictures, which owned Marvel Productions at the time, I thought, well, maybe we got something here. So, they approached Foursquare Productions. Those are the guys that made the original Killer Tomatoes movie back in the 70s. And they said, hey guys, do you want to, you want to do more? You want to do a sequel? They said no. It's like, we have $4 million. We're in. And they did it, and it was a modest hit. Nobody lost their shirt over it. So they figured, well, let's strike while the iron's hot. So they put together a show, and it was one of the inaugural shows on Fox Kids.
And that is the cartoon Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yes.
And that, I guess it didn't last too long, did it? Just, I guess, maybe one season or so? 2 seasons?
But it's funny, it was actually the very first American cartoon to use CGI.
Oh, well, how about that? Look at you. Of course, Deep Cut Dave with the knowledge, dropping the knowledge bombs one after another. The first cartoon that used CGI. And what was the CGI used in the show for?
Mostly just the credit sequence.
Ah, just the credits. Of course, yeah, of course, just the credits, because
it was 1990, man. Don't get your hopes up.
Oh man, yeah, of course, the CGI back then was incredible. Yeah, definitely has aged well over time. Let me tell you about that. So, well, Dave, I want to thank you for calling in and, of course, giving all of us an education. Are you going to do anything special for Halloween? Are you dressing up as anything? Are you going to dress up as a killer tomato?
Yeah, well, if I stay out in the sun any longer, sure.
You're right. Well, remember, if you're staying out in the sun, make sure that you don't use any sunscreen so you can get more and more red so that that tomato color can definitely come out, specifically in your cheeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Dave, once again, thank you so much. Of course, Deep Cut Dave for the amazing insight on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Dave, you have an amazing week. We'll talk to you next week with some more deep cuts, of course, that you'll probably be bringing in and educating us all about things that we might not know too much about.
Okay. Hey, you doing that RetroCon next month?
Yes, I will be at Retro Toy Con November the 18th through the 20th. Are you going to be there?
Well, if you're going to be there, I guess I'll be there.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see you then. And then everybody will be able to see Deep Cut Dave because I'll interview you while we're there. Do a couple of things with Deep Cut Dave while we're at Retro Toy Con. Well, Deep Cut Dave, let me just thank you one more time for giving us all the insight on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. You have a happy Halloween and don't choke on any candy corn, okay?
I can assure you that won't happen.
Yep. Well, you have a good one, and we will talk to you next week.
Okay, see you later, man.
Yep. That's right. Deep Cut Dave with the knowledge bombs, of course, and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Return of the Killer Tomatoes, and the cartoon Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, one of the first cartoons on Fox Kids, first cartoon to use CGI as well. And the Jim Henson connection, George Clooney, John Austin, whole bunch of stuff. And of course, that's where we're going to start here at the top of this first music block here on the only radio show dedicated to the magic of Saturday morning, hosted by me, a real puppet. To listen to the songs, download the simple radio app, search WDCE, at Sam Newsman on Instagram, at Sam Newsman on Twitter, Sam Newsman here on YouTube as well. We'll be back on the other side, probably at the top of the hour, with some more information and talking about what your favorite Halloween specials might be. And of course, I will be playing things from my favorite Halloween specials as well. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman. And this is Saturday Morning.